Ethan had always felt like a shadow, a faint echo in the vibrant lives of those around him, particularly during the 2 long years he spent in the foster home. The damp corners of the shelter, draped in gloom and tinged with the moldy scent of neglect, clung to him like a second skin, whispering reminders of the mystery that overshadowed his life since his parents vanished without a trace. The weight of this unresolved past felt like a heavy backpack resting on his narrow shoulders, brimming with unanswered questions and silent fears that gnawed at his spirit. Each day began with the same cold routines, the same sterile conversations with social workers, each moment infused with the harsh reality that he was still, despite everything, an outsider, a ghost drifting through the lives of other children who radiated warmth and love from their families like sunbeams piercing through dark clouds. He often found solace on a worn leather couch, its surface familiar yet uncomfortable, allowing him to observe others as they laughed, shared stories, and reveled in the joy of connection. For them, the feeling of belonging wrapped around them like a soft blanket, while in stark contrast, he remained a silent observer, his heart aching with the knowledge of what it meant to feel invisible. One unremarkable afternoon, the air heavy with dust motes illuminated by the dull light of a single flickering bulb, Ethan found himself sorting through belongings in a dimly lit storage unit, a forgotten corner of the world that had been abandoned like him. As his fingers brushed over the surface of an old, dusty box, a sharp pang of curiosity ignited in his chest, compelling him to pry it open. The box creaked in protest, exhaling a cloud of musty air that tasted stale against his tongue. It felt as if he were unlocking a gate to the past, his past. Inside, he discovered a yellowed, fragile letter nestled among forgotten trinkets, its ink faded yet still legible, begging to be read. That first touch sparked something deep within him, awakening a yearning long buried in the shadows, igniting a flame of curiosity that seemed to promise answers yet to come. Carefully unfolding the letter revealed a personal message from a distant relative, connecting him to a family history woven with threads of resilience, sorrow, and secrets hidden in the depths of time. Alongside it lay a worn scrapbook, its cover cracked with age, brimming with photographs, newspaper clippings, and a meticulously drawn map that beckoned him to explore places he had never known. As he flipped through the pages of the scrapbook, his heart raced with a heady mix of hope and trepidation. Each photograph unveiled a world of family he had been deprived of. Faces of relatives who bore unshakable resemblance to him lined the pages, their laughter captured in fleeting moments of joy, juxtaposed against heart-wrenching clippings, lamenting losses that had woven themselves through generations like an unbreakable thread. In the midst of this emotional whirlwind, he felt an undeniable connection stir within, a pulse that resonated with every fiber of his being. The map pointed to locations that were not mere markers on paper, but the very essence of his legacy, each point a potential thread pulling him closer to the mystery that shrouded his parents' disappearance. For the first time since stepping into the confines of his foster home, Ethan felt the beckoning call of his lineage, a silent invitation to reclaim his story, to discover who he truly was beneath the layers of abandonment. If you also feel this ache in your chest, consider liking and subscribing. Someone else might need to hear this story today. Unbeknownst to him, this was only the beginning of an emotional journey that awaited him, one that would challenge his understanding of loss, belonging, and the strength rooted in the legacy that coursed through his veins. Ethan's childhood memories flickered in and out like a broken film reel, revealing snapshots of a time when he felt whole, not merely a silhouette against the lives of others. A soothing smile from his mother would grapple him out of bed, the warm embrace of family mealtimes greeting him with laughter and love. Those vibrant moments had vanished far too quickly, replaced by the cold, stark reality of his foster home, where he often found himself trapped in the ebb and flow of emotionless routines. The home bled loneliness, its walls thick with neglect, encapsulating the essence of his childhood that had transformed from joyful wonder into a shadowy existence filled with unanswered questions about the fate of the parents, who had vanished as if they had never existed. Life in the foster system had taught him lessons without words, a silent doctrine of transience. Each new placement felt like grasping at sand, only to have it slip through his fingers, leaving him feeling more disconnected with every forced goodbye. He was never quite at ease, always standing just outside the circle of laughter shared by other children, the invisible boundaries of their family bonds painfully evident. With each passing year, birthdays came and went without a singular celebration, and holidays turned into mere markers of time that passed like the drifting clouds above him. Every shared moment in the home was a reminder that he was not part of the story. Rather, he was a fleeting character, devoid of the warmth and belonging he desperately craved. The weight of isolation pressed tightly against him. Ethan would often lose himself in books, escaping into realms where children found adventure and love, without the continuous ache of being unwanted. In those worlds, family ties were strong, and every struggle turned to victory by the end of the tale, inspiring him with hope that the same might be possible in his own life. But as each page turned, reality snapped back, grounding him in the truth that he was an orphan, unnoticed, unclaimed, and forever yearning for a home. Frustration, confusion, and sorrow mingled within him, feeding an unquenchable desire to find his roots, to discover the smiling faces behind the photographs and the names etched in the scriptures of history. The letter and scrapbook uncovered from the dusty box ignited a flicker of determination, a call to reclaim ownership over his narrative. Suddenly he had a thread to pull on, an anchor in the storm of his tumultuous emotions. The pieces of his family history, obscured by years of silence, urged him to confront the unanswered questions swirling endlessly in his mind. In those quiet moments, he would sit by the thinly veiled light streaming in through grimy windows, letting the warmth envelope him like a delicate embrace, feeling a connection to something greater. Every photograph in the scrapbook offered a glimpse into shared laughter, and lives intertwined bearing an uncanny resemblance to the boy he had become, resilient yet weary. It was as if their spirits were silently urging him to piece together their collective story, embracing the weight of legacy wrapped in loss. As he flipped through the fragile newspaper clippings, chronicling not just the tragedies, but also moments of joy, he began to see a different picture form in his mind, a tapestry woven through generations of strength and heartbreak. This growing sense of discovery, ignited by the very idea that he wasn't alone, shifted his perception of abandonment into something not entirely bleak. Perhaps it was time to embrace the uncertainties, to feel the pulse of memories anew. It was in those realizations that he found courage, hidden beneath years of loneliness, waiting patiently for him to uncover it. Ethan began to map out his journey, tracing the lines laid out in the scrapbook, confronting the places that played a part in his family's hidden history. Each location was a clue, a potential stepping stone leading him toward answers he had yearned for all this time. The path may be tangled, fraught with sorrow and uncertainty, but there lay the possibility of healing, of piecing together a narrative that was both heart-wrenching and liberating. No longer a mere shadow, he envisioned embracing the spirit embedded in the love that had endured those hardships, as he felt the gentle stirring of belonging, finally awakening the realization that his story, though marred, was still his to tell. Revelations of his lineage became a buoy amidst the relentless tide, urging him to not only confront the ghosts of his past, but also to embrace the resilience born from such trials. As the stories began to take shape around him, Ethan felt a profound connection to the strength that coursed through his family's veins, a legacy of love, sorrow, and survival. As he reflected on their lives, he also contemplated his place within this legacy, motivating him to challenge the narrative he'd subconsciously accepted. From that point forward, he would journey into the depths of his family's history, not just as an act of remembrance, but as an act of reclamation, a return to the heart of who he was meant to be. And with that understanding, he was ready to venture into the unknown, with the heart of a boy seeking to become more than just a shadow. With a sense of purpose ignited within him, Ethan clutched the scrapbook and letter tightly to his chest as he embarked on a quest, unwilling to let fear dictate his exploration of the unknown. The dim light of his foster home faded behind him as he stepped into the outside world, a sense of determination propelling him forward. The first location marked on the map, a weathered house on the edge of town that had belonged to his grandparents, loomed like a beacon of hope. He imagined it standing still in time, its walls cradling fragments of a legacy he was set to uncover. The sun dipped low in the sky, casting long shadows as he approached the house, a sturdy structure that bore the scars of untold stories. The familiar chill of trepidation tugged at his heart, but he pushed through, the yearning to connect overpowering the hesitance. He gently rapped on the door, half hoping it would creak open to reveal an elderly guardian, echoing the warmth he had craved. Instead, silence reigned. The house, overgrown with ivy and dust, appeared abandoned, reflecting the loss that hung in the air. Ethan's heart sank momentarily, but the flutter of determination surged back. There had to be remnants of the life that had once thrived within these walls. Ethan skirted around to the back of the house, hoping to find an unlocked window or a door left ajar. As he explored, he caught a whiff of aged wood and neglect, yet beneath it, the faint scent of lavender lingered softly, a soothing reminder of his mother's embrace. Pressing his palm against the windowpane, he squinted inside and gasped at the sight. The dim room was cluttered with faded photographs and forgotten relics draped in layers of dust, as if the whispers of his family still echoed within. Gathering his courage, he pushed the creaky door open, a small breeze trailing after him as if promising to guide him on this journey. Inside, Ethan felt as if time had paused. The air thick with silence welcomed him home, transporting him back to the images he'd seen in the scrapbook. He advanced carefully, brushing against the remnants of a life once lived, tracing his fingertips along the edges of frames, holding photographs of smiling faces. It was a mix of joy and sorrow, joy in the fleeting moments captured, yet a sorrow for the lost connection he could never fully grasp. His eyes landed on a large family portrait above the mantelpiece, beaming down at him with welcoming smiles. There, among them, he found the features he recognized, his own eyes mirrored in those of a stranger, a bittersweet acknowledgement of a shared bloodline. As feelings of familiarity washed over him, a small drawer caught his attention, slightly open and slightly ajar. He knelt to pull it open, revealing a stack of yellowed letters tied together with a fading ribbon. His heart raced with excitement, the anticipation of secrets tucked away revealing themselves at last. Ethan carefully untied the bundle, each letter a glimpse into thoughts penned by hands that were once close to him, but now felt like distant echoes. The first letter spoke of hopes and dreams, their message addressed to his grandmother, filled with words of love and encouragement for a bright future. Each subsequent letter unraveled personal struggles, aspirations, and tales of laughter shared amidst the shadows of sorrow. Enlightened by their vulnerability, he gleaned strength and resilience from their stories, recognizing that his existence was far more than just a consequence of abandonment. It was the lineage of those who came before him, a legacy of honor and endurance interwoven with the fabric of love. With each letter he read, Ethan's resolve grew stronger, each word breathing life into the narrative of his family. It was more than just stories. They were threads tying together heartbeats across generations. Their hopes and dreams provided him a place, helping him come to terms with his past and face the uncertainty of his future. He felt as though he were no longer just Ethan the orphan, but Ethan, the descendant of a lineage of fighters. As dusk settled in, the weight of newfound clarity settled on his shoulders. He realized the journey had only just begun. The clues unraveled from those letters signaled more than just whispers of the past. They led to the next locations on the map, places that promised to deepen his understanding of his family's history. Ethan was not merely searching for answers, he was rediscovering the love that had always existed, albeit obscured by layers of pain. His heart swelled as he left the ancient house behind, now imbued with a sense of connection that offered warmth against the shadows of his past. The world outside felt different, richer. He navigated through the streets of town, determination replacing longing, as he contemplated which thread to pull next. Each whisper of wind reminded him he was not alone, that he was tethered to a heritage filled with heartache and healing, a shared lineage he was finally prepared to uncover. And with every step, he felt closer to weaving his own story into the tapestry, no longer just an observer in the background, but a vital thread in the ever-evolving fabric of his family's legacy. Ethan awoke the next morning with the sun filtering through his window, waking him gently from dreams of connection. his heart quickening with the promise of a new day ripe for exploration. Clutching the map from the scrapbook, he stared at the marks he had made, places waiting to unveil their secrets. The first stop was an old abandoned railway station, once bustling with life, that his grandmother had mentioned in one of the letters. It sat just outside town, shrouded in the whispers of history, yet Ethan felt the pull of that place as if it were calling to him, promising yet another piece of the intricate puzzle of his past. The walk to the station felt like a rite of passage. Each step unleashed a mix of anxiety and excitement. The journey itself began to feel profound, an expedition into the heart of a legacy that had been hidden away for too long. As he approached the station, he felt the air change around him. It was as if history enveloped him with every footfall. The building, worn down by time, exhibited a beauty that was haunting, yet enchanting, a testament to stories that had once burst forth from its platforms. Pushing through the rusted gate, Ethan stepped into the shadow of the past. Inside, remnants of forgotten journeys lay scattered about. Old tickets, faded timetables, and photographs of travelers whose smiles were now lost in the dust of time. The walls whispered echoes of laughter, echoed stories of partings, reunions, and dreams set in motion. He could almost picture himself standing there as a young boy, waiting to board a train with his family, a memory he had never had but desperately longed to create. His fingers absently brushed against a series of rusting nails embedded in the wooden paneling, and as he continued to explore, he spoke to the silence, letting the walls absorb his thoughts. What happened here? What stories began and ended within these walls? The uncertainty pressed on him, but he pushed through, seeking answers among the fragments of forgotten lives. The lingering scent of unfulfilled dreams mingled with the mustiness of decay, creating a bittersweet atmosphere that both inspired and haunted him. In the back of the station, he found an old storage room, its door ajar, beckoning him to disturb the cobwebs of a long-forgotten memory. He stepped inside, heart racing as he spotted a small wooden chest tucked away beneath the dust. With a determined tug, he pulled it free, revealing its secrets hidden inside. Lifting the lid, a musty aroma escaped as he found letters tied in fraying twine and faded photographs, unveiling snapshots of family gatherings, children laughing and faces he recognized, the familiarity igniting warmth within his chest. Ethan gingerly sifted through the contents, each letter offering another thread in the tapestry he was weaving. They spoke of love lost and found amidst the turmoil of life, of sacrifices made to ensure future generations could thrive, of whispered hopes passed down like heirlooms. Each one resonated deeply within him, expanding his understanding of his family's sorrow and joy. One letter caught his attention, penned by his grandmother and dated just before his parents had vanished. It revealed the turmoil surrounding their lives, shadows of uncertainty that clouded happiness. She wrote about her fears for her children, the strange occurrences in the months leading up to their disappearance. Her deeply human struggles intertwined with his family's legacy, revealing a profound strength born of heartbreak. As Ethan read, he could feel an ancestral connection illuminated through sorrow, a lineage of resilience etched into his very being. Tears brimmed in his eyes as he recognized the struggles that ran through his bloodline, their truth amplifying the strength growing within him. He understood now that he wasn't merely affected by loss. He was a part of a lineage that had faced the darkness and triumphed in their own ways. The anguish didn't fade, but it shifted from isolation into solidarity, empowering him to confront the truth. As he prepared to leave the station, something glimmered from the corner of his eye. A photo lay half buried beneath papers strewn across the floor. He picked it up and gasped. It was a picture of Ethan's mother, smiling brightly, her arms around two children. She seemed so alive, so vibrant. He turned it over, finding a date inscribed, the day before she disappeared. A mix of joy and despair coursed through him. The love shining from her eyes reinforced the bond he was beginning to cherish with the family he had never really known. His heart raced with a quest unfolding. This was not just a search for answers. It was a deeper journey toward understanding the layers of love that had intertwined with loss, a search for the core of his identity. It became clear to him that each revelation would build his understanding and bring him closer to the truth, allowing him to connect with his roots and ultimately heal. With the contents of the chest secured, Ethan stepped into the light of the fading day, no longer bound to the shadows of despair. He understood now that he was not alone in his struggle. His ancestors were with him, encouraging him as he began this new chapter. The railway station was only the first of many discoveries, a stepping stone leading him nearer to the heart of his family's legacy. The next destination, marked on the map with a series of jagged lines, would guide him further into the depths of his family's hidden history. He felt exhilarated by the thought of unveiling more secrets that awaited him, the whispers of the past stirring within him like a symphony playing its melody. They sang not just of sorrow, but of strength and resilience, bonding him to those who came before and setting him on the path toward his true self. The journey was not solely his own, it was a reunion with his lineage, a reclamation of a story where love would claim its rightful place, firmly woven within the fabric of his life, guiding him toward the future he was now determined to grasp. Each step forward sent ripples of anticipation through Ethan, his heart a steady drumbeat driving him to the next destination, an unmarked parcel of land where his grandmother had grown up, a place steeped in history and memories, now a canvas of faded dreams with the wild overgrowth reclaiming what was once vibrant. The map, heavy with the weight of ancestral markers, led him through familiar streets tinged with newfound meaning. With each corner turned, familiarity transformed into an exhilarating revelation. He was moving not just through space, but through the very essence of his family's legacy. Upon reaching the overgrown site, Ethan felt a shift, a palpable energy coursing through the air that made him pause. The entrance was flanked by trees that stood like guardians of a forgotten world, their branches thick and tangled, holding centuries of stories. As he stepped inside, the long-cherished heartbeats of his ancestors seemed to echo in the distance, reverberating off the decaying structures that had borne witness to their lives. This was where laughter had once intertwined with tears, an intersection of joy and sorrow that had shaped not just the land, but the family he was slowly coming to know. Vines twisted around the derelict remnants of the old house. Petals from wildflowers fluttered softly at his feet. He felt oddly at peace, even in the quiet decay surrounding him. Ethan moved deeper into the surroundings, ambling through the remnants of life that had been. His fingers brushed against the cool bark of a tree that had stood witness to countless precious moments, rebirth, love, and loss, all coiling around the trunk like ivy. Here, he felt connected to the laughter of children that might have played here, the conversations shared under the canopy of stars, and the echo of his mother's voice floating on the breeze. In the clearing, he stumbled across an old swing set, its chains rusted, yet its wood sturdy, like a testament to terms unspoken and memories awaiting remembrance. It was then, standing beneath the boughs of that gentle shade, that Ethan realized the true depth of his journey. It was no longer solely about unearthing facts, but about embracing the heartbeat of those he loved. He could almost see them, laughing and caring for one another, and for the first time, he didn't feel alone. Love had persisted through the years, transcending loss and grief and finding a way to lead him back home. As he settled into the swing, an unexpected wave of calm washed over him. He closed his eyes, allowing the memory of the photograph, the vibrant smile of his mother to fill his mind, her warmth radiating from beyond the confines of time. The air around him seemed to shimmer with the essence of belonging, a sense of being cradled in something much larger than himself, something timeless and immutable. In that moment, he made a silent promise to honor the lives of those who had come before him, their stories etched in the fabric of his being. This wasn't just about finding answers. It was about weaving together a narrative of resilience and love that would carry forward into his own future. He opened his eyes, feeling invigorated by the sincerity of his vow. Often, it takes a moment of deep connection to remind oneself what truly matters. For Ethan, it was as if the swinging motions were gently rocking him into a new understanding of his identity. He was rebuilding a bridge, one of discovery and belonging that he would carry with him wherever life took him. As dusk settled and the golden hues of the setting sun painted the land, Ethan realized he'd have to come back again. This was only the beginning of his journey. As he walked back through the tangle of forgotten memories, he felt a deep, comforting presence behind him. It was his family story, weaving itself deeper into his spirit. He understood that healing came not from solitary endeavors, but from honoring those connections. He whispered a quiet thank you to the land and to the whispers of his family that beckoned him here. With a determined heart, he returned to his foster home, feeling transformed by the encounters he'd just experienced. The fragments of the puzzle he'd sought began to fit together seamlessly, painting a more coherent portrait of who he was, a boy surrounded by love that transcended time. The winds of change kissed his cheeks like a gentle embrace, as if promising new beginnings and unwavering support from those who came before. Weeks turned into months, and Ethan dedicated his time between school and digging deeper into his family history. He delved into archives, met with distant relatives, and pieced together more letters and memories, slowly unearthing layers of strength woven throughout the generations. There was laughter, heartache, reconciliations, and unbreakable bonds, the same threads of resilience he had felt beneath him in the swing. Eventually, Ethan came to a well-deserved decision. He embarked on a symbolic act of reclamation, wanting to leave a tangible piece of his journey in honor of his family. He organized a small gathering at the restored railway station, inviting those who had journeyed alongside him, new friends and distant relatives alike, all connected through the fabric of history and kinship. As they shared their stories, laughter echoed off the walls, filling the air with warmth, a unison hymn of remembrance. In that moment of celebration, Ethan stood tall and proud. He embraced the complexity of their shared experiences and the lightness of friendship, which bridged the gap left by absence. Gratitude filled his heart, knocking gently at the edges of his memory. He recognized now that family was not just defined by blood, but by those who choose to love and uplift one another. It was this understanding that granted his heart wings, setting him free on a path illuminated by love. In the twilight of that day, as they shared stories around the flicker of candlelight, Ethan felt the whispers of his ancestors surrounding him, offering their blessings. The photograph of his mother re-emerged in his thoughts, her smile forever woven into his heart, her constant reminder that their connection would never fade, and that love has the power to transcend even the harshest of separations. In that gathering, he made one last silent promise to his family, to cherish the legacy they left behind while forging his own path, forever mindful that no matter where life took him, the love that threaded through the tapestry of his existence would ground him, guiding him home. As the candles burned, flickering like stars against the night, he silently echoed the love whispered within the fabric of his journey, knowing that it was, in fact, never lost, but only waiting to be found. Thank you for staying until the end. Sometimes all a child needs is to be heard. Over the next few weeks, Ethan found himself transforming in ways he had never anticipated. The gathering at the railway station had awakened a sense of purpose within him that flourished as he embraced the depths of his family history and the relationships he was forging. Now imbued with connection, he started to look for ways to carry the spirit of his family into each day, mindful of what it meant to honor their legacies while nurturing his own dreams. Ethan diligently mapped out the remaining locations mentioned in the letters and artifacts he had uncovered, thrilling at the thought of discovering more pieces of the story that made him who he was. The search had become more than just a journey into the past. It had transformed into a powerful source of identity and empowerment. Every new adventure beckoned him closer to wisdom and understanding embraced by both laughter and tears. One sunny afternoon, he found himself at the entrance of a local library, an unassuming building with a meticulously tended garden that danced with color. Inside, the numerous shelves overflowed with tales from all walks of life. Ethan approached the librarian, a kind woman with twinkling eyes, and shared his desire to uncover more about his family's history within the dusty volumes hidden away in the archives. Intrigued by his mission, she guided him to a corner of the library where he could access genealogical records and newspapers from decades past. With each yellowing page thumbed through, he uncovered stories both bittersweet and joyous, a tapestry woven with love and loss, filled with familiar names and places. He discovered connections he had never known existed. Among the archives, he found articles about his grandparents, detailing their dreams and community involvement, their resilience through hardships chronicled as a testament to their spirit. It was within these records that he learned of their enduring legacy, giving him a greater understanding of the love that had nurtured him, even in its absence. As days turned into weeks, Ethan became a familiar face at the library, each solitary hour spent immersed in stories, strengthening his resolve to share his family's legacy with a broader community. Riding the wave of newfound inspiration, he envisioned creating a small booklet, a reflection of the love and resilience of his family, inviting others to join him on this journey of connection. It was not merely a collection of facts, but a heartfelt compilation of memories, illustrations, and photographs capturing the essence of those who had come before him. Ethan spent countless hours drawing sketches of scenes from the stories he had uncovered, pouring his heart into the project. With each stroke of his pencil, he felt closer to those ancestors whose blood coursed through his veins, capturing their spirit in a way that felt meaningful and true. The hope of sharing their memories tugged at his heartstrings, propelling him forward, stoked by the fire of connection he had ignited. One rainy afternoon, as he studied photographs from long ago, a particular image struck him. A weathered photo of his grandmother dancing joyously at a community fair, laughter radiating from her face. Inspired, Ethan envisioned a larger event, an outdoor celebration where people could share stories, dance, and embrace the beauty of connection. He envisioned it as a bridge, not just to his family's past, but as a celebration of the community, weaving together diverse threads into a colorful tapestry of shared humanity. With unwavering resolve, Ethan reached out to his newfound friends and distant family members, sharing his vision and inviting them to join him in creating the event. Together, they brainstormed names, activities, and ways to celebrate the legacy that tied them together. Months of preparation unfolded, filled with laughter and excitement, as Ethan and his crew organized every aspect, from music to food, from the storytelling circle to displays showcasing family histories that others had unearthed, an exhibition of shared roots and intertwined destinies. As the day of the event drew near, a swirl of emotions danced within Ethan, a blend of excitement, anxiety, and unshakable anticipation. He was stepping onto a stage built not just from the pieces of his family's story, but one where he could honor all those whose lives had interwoven and celebrated the richness of connection. On the day of the celebration, the sun burst through the clouds, casting warm rays over the field set up for festivities. Colorful decorations fluttered in the gentle breeze, a vivid reminder of life's joys. Families arrived, an array of faces, some familiar, some new, all radiating tentatively eager anticipation. As laughter filled the air, Ethan stood amidst the joy, warmth flooding his heart as he recognized the bonds these stories had created. As the festivities unfolded, stories were shared around the circle, echoes of laughter interspersed with moments of reflection. Conversations flowed like a river, connecting people, tying together fragments of past experiences, weaving a screenplay of life that transcended time. Through the bond of shared narratives, people found comfort in knowing that across distance, struggles, and heartaches, they were kindred spirits united by love. By day's end, Ethan stood at the edge of the field, awash in gratitude. He found himself reflecting on how far he had come, not just in uncovering family history, but in embracing the intricate threads that formed the fabric of community. He felt light as he considered the connections forged that day, the love and warmth blossoming from shared vulnerability, laughter, and the understanding that everyone had a story worth telling. As the sunset cast hues of orange and pink across the horizon, Ethan glanced at the departing families with a sense of fulfillment. They had come together as a celebration of life, gratitude, and resilience. With every smile exchanged and story told, little pieces of the past were resurrected, cherished and carried forward. Driven by a deeper understanding of love's power and how it transcended time and space, Ethan promised his family, those living and those gone, that he would keep their stories alive in his heart, writing his own narrative infused with their spirit. Thankfulness surged through him, for the journey that brought him here, for the love that filled the gaps, and for the privilege of carrying such legacies forward. The journey remained a clearing of the past, leading him into a future vibrant and full of potential. With his heart full and his spirit alive, he took a deep breath, ready to embark on whatever came next, knowing he was never alone. The stories he carried would always guide him home. Ethan awoke the next morning to the soft light streaming through his window, a new dawn painting his room in golden hues. The echoes of yesterday still lingered in his mind, the laughter, the stories, and the sense of belonging that had filled the air. As he lay there, he felt a profound shift within himself. The vibrant tapestry of experiences he had woven over the past months now pulsed with life, illuminating his path forward. He grasped at the realization that these connections were not merely fleeting moments, but enduring bonds that would shape his identity for years to come. Inspired by the stories and the faces he had connected with, Ethan decided it was time to put pen to paper, to encapsulate the beauty of the event in a format that could be shared far and wide. He spent the entire day brainstorming how to channel the energy and love felt during the celebration into something meaningful. He envisioned a collection of stories, much like the ones shared the night before, transcribed, illustrated, and compiled into a book that could inspire others as it had inspired him. With every word he wrote, he felt as though he was not just retelling stories. He was breathing life into them, making sure they would echo in the hearts of future generations. He poured his soul into each narrative, capturing each family member's essence, their dreams and their struggles, celebrating their triumphs while memorializing their losses. It became a ritual for him, writing not just for himself, but as a gift to everyone who had come before him, a testament to the love that had carried him through his own hardships. As Ethan crafted this collection, he also reached out to those he had met during the celebration, inviting them to contribute their own stories, memories, and illustrations. The response was overwhelmingly positive. People eagerly shared their experiences, infusing the book with a rich diversity of perspectives and voices. It became a collaborative effort, a patchwork quilt stitched together by shared histories and sentiments, each individual contributing a piece of their truth. Months rolled on, and the book gradually transformed from a dreamy concept into a tangible reality. Ethan found joy in the process. The anticipation of seeing the final product soon gave rise to an overwhelming sense of accomplishment. With the final edits complete, he could hardly contain his excitement as he prepared for the reveal. This was not just his book. It was a collective testament of love and resilience that represented a community, a family forged in connection. On the day of the book launch, excitement thrummed in the air like that of a tightly coiled spring. The community auditorium, decorated with colorful banners and photographs from the event, was filled with familiar faces. Friends and family gathered to celebrate the culmination of a journey that had evolved beyond what he could have ever imagined. There was laughter and warmth, a pulse of energy that filled the space as people mingled together, sharing their stories and memories. Ethan stood at the front, heart racing, as he welcomed everyone warmly. He spoke of the inspiration behind the book, of love, loss, and the transformative power of shared stories. He expressed his gratitude for everyone who had participated, reminding them all that they were a part of something greater, that by connecting their narratives, they were honored not just in memory, but in the fabric of the living community. As he flipped through the pages, he felt a swell of emotion wash over him. Each story, each drawing, each heartfelt paragraph whispered of a journey where pain met healing, where sorrow welcomed joy, and where resilience prevailed. The room erupted in applause as people reflected on their contributions and the stories they had shared. It was a moment of unity, a reminder of the shared strength that connected them all. By the end of the evening, Ethan felt transformed, not just by the book he had created, but by the love and warmth that resonated throughout the gathering. A thread of connection, woven intricately through their shared narratives, had brought them closer together, reminding them all that no one was truly alone in their struggles and joys. As the sun set across the sky, Ethan realized the journey was far from over. There were more stories to be shared, more lives to touch, and he would continue to walk this path guided by the legacy of those who illuminated his way. With a smile cradling his lips and a heart brimming with love, he stepped into a future alive with possibilities, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead, now reassured that home was not merely a place, but a bond shared within the threads of connection.